Ba weep, grana weep, nini ban. The old guy was right. Universal greeting works every time. Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here, and we're taking a look at probably one of the more anticipated figures from this wave of Earthrise toys. We've got the Quintesson Allicon. Of course, the Quintesson Allicons first appeared in the animated Transformers the movie. They were the first creatures that Cup and Hot Rod encountered when they crash-landed on Quintessa. Of course, these are the characters that Cup first introduced us to the universal greeting with. And we saw the end results of how well that went over. They repeated, then they ate all the Energon food, and then attacked him and took him prisoner. Never to be seen again. Unfortunately, this was a character that never got made in the Generation 1 toy line. One wonders why they were ignored when we got Sharkticons. And they weren't Decepticons like the toy made them out to be. That'll be one of the mysteries of life. There was a third-party version of this toy made a number of years back, but I unfortunately don't have one, as those toys are quite rare. At any rate, let's take a look at this guy, and one thing we can immediately notice is that he is rather ugly. But then again, he's a Quintesson. He's not around for looks. He's just around to savagely patrol. But it is a rather nicely sculpted figure, nonetheless. Articulation-wise, well, he's got a fair amount going for him. The head can turn side to side a little bit, but the way it's set up, it is very difficult to do. And it won't turn very much all the way as a normal head, but it does lift up and down. His arms can be raised out to the side about so far. And the arms do rotate at the shoulder all the way around. He does have a joint at his elbow, so he can bend the elbow 90 degrees. And he does have a swivel at the bicep. So even Quintessons can have G.I. Joe battle grip. His wrist is also rotatable, so you can rotate his wrist to adjust the position of his weapon. When you move the hip shield out of the way, his hips do rotate, so you can rotate his legs around like that. His legs can be spread apart to do a full splits. You can raise his leg up at the hip a little more than 90 degrees when you get the hip shield out of the way. And he can bend at the knee just over 90 degrees. So the Allicon does have quite a range of motion and posability. And of course, before we get around to transforming him, we should take a look at his accessories. We'll start off with this sword. As you can see, it is basically made of something else. It is actuality a piece of his tail. Excuse me a second, there's someone at the door. 'Tis the season to be receiving packages. Unfortunately, it's nothing to be shown on this channel, so... Now, getting back to the Allicon, the sword fits into this gap in his tail. You just wrestle it in from the bottom, and then the handle attaches in, and that completes the look for the tail. But when he's in robot mode, it gives him an extra weapon. And then, of course, he also has this spear. Rather fierce-looking weapon. There's also a slot in the spear, so that way, if you wanted to, you can store it on some of the spikes on his tail. There's a slot right here in the middle that you can attach it to, and then he can carry his spear, should you prefer him not carrying it at all. And then there is a third and final piece for him. It shouldn't really be considered a loose part, but it does tend to separate very easily. At least when I'm transforming him, it does. And that is the tail itself. Of course, when you open the toy up brand new, the tail will not be attached. You will have to attach the tail in order to start playing with him. It attaches down here on this gray part. There's a notch cut into it that it attaches onto this piece on the alligator head. Like so. But sometimes it does not stay attached very well, and it will pop off during play. So do be mindful of that, especially if you've got children. It will come apart very easily. Would be nice if it would hold a little better, but it was nice that it separates easy for this review. Now, anyways, to transform the Allicon, the first thing we do is we bend his arms at the elbows all the way up. And as you'll see here on his arm, there's a little notch sticking out, and there's a hole right here on the side of his chest. So you would adjust the arm at the shoulder until you can get that post to fit into the notch. It's really not that hard. Just a pain because you can't see it at all the angles. There we go. That gets that in. And then next you will turn his hands at the wrist so that his fingers are all downward. Just exactly like that. Then we turn him around. We make sure the tail is separated from the alligator head. And we come back to the front and we're going to flip up the hip shield. Then you will spin his legs around like so, and then fold the hip shield back down. But this time, since all of his hips have been moved to the front, you can fold it totally under the robot's chest. And then we're going to sink the robot's head inside his chest, which, as you see, is going to bring up the alligator head. You'll take the tail section, rotate it on that post. See? Came off. You might just be easier just taking the tail off and then rotating it. Unless you've got one that actually stays attached. Come on, get back in there. There we go. Once it's all rotated, then you can fold it and the head up and around like so. Now the tail has a couple of posts on it, like right here, and those should connect into these holes on the silver portion of the robot's chest. Just exactly like that. Then you're going to shift up the legs a bit like so, then bend them backward at the knee to give him kind of a hunched appearance. And then bring out the little claws. And then for a final touch of detail, you can give him the spear. And there, of course, is the Allicon in his full alligator robot mode. Looks rather silly, doesn't he? And of course, he still retains full leg articulation, just like the robot had. These little arms, they don't move very much, but you can rotate them at the shoulder. They will go all the way around. You will have to watch out for the spikes on the robot's forearms. And of course, the one arm holding the spear will not clear the shoulder pads. The head, of course, doesn't do much, but you can open up his jaws so that he can look like he's getting ready to have a feeding frenzy. Feed me, Seymour! Feed me! I couldn't resist. So now we get down to my thoughts. What do I think of the Allicon? The Allicon is a nice addition to the Transformer lineup. Heck, all the Quintesson characters really have been a nice addition in this wave. They are some of the toys that many of us didn't get back when we were kids because they weren't made. And they were some that they had memorable time on screen, and we would have liked to have incorporated them into many of our adventures. However, for some reason, Takara and Hasbro did not make any of them, and we were denied these toys for the better part of nearly 40 years. So definitely, if you can go out and get yourself an Allicon, I would suggest you do so to add it to your collection. This guy is also like an army builder, so you probably wouldn't mind having half a dozen or so of them, if you can afford it and find them, on your shelves to build yourself a small Quintesson army. And that concludes my review of the Quintesson Allicon. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you liked the video, drop me a thumbs up here on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button to join our ranks. Make sure you ring the bell so you'll be notified when I post new content this month. I ask that you share this video with your friends and fellow collectors. That's what helps this channel grow. And also leave your thoughts about the Allicon in the comments down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.